about loving the person, but not affirming their actions. This is something very biblical, something Jesus did all throughout his ministry. Sex is not your core identity. It is a big part of your identity. Your biological sex is a big part of your identity. Your sexuality is a big part of your core identity. It really shapes your story and how you view the world, sure, but it's not the core piece of who you are. We're not actually in control always of our feelings and desires, but we are in control of our actions. That sex is good and beautiful, but it can become disordered. And so yes, we're talking about LGBTQ+, but we're also talking about adultery, lust, pornography, and sex before marriage, etc. Churches are for broken people. We're all broken. We're all dealing with our stuff. And this is what goes directly against what our culture says. Our culture says, look, if you want real freedom, you need to live out all of your desires, all your feelings, all your attractions, anything you want to do. If you want to be truly you, you live that out to the fullest. But that's actually not freedom. Being enslaved to our desires is not freedom. Being addicted to something or just following every desire you have isn't freedom, because freedom is actually found in Jesus, where he says, no, now you're not enslaved to this anymore. Now you can choose. You can say, no, look, I know that may be fun for right now, but it will not be helpful to me. It will not cause me to flourish, that I will experience brokenness. I know that having sex before marriage might feel good, but I know that it will cause brokenness and pain for me, and then for my future spouse, and for the person that I'm currently dating. Sex is not God. It's good. It's meant for a certain thing. But if we worship it as God, if we see it as the pinnacle of our existence, we will be disappointed, and we'll experience pain and brokenness. Safe sex being a myth. You hear this all the time. Oh, safe sex. It's got to be safe. It's a myth. Now, I know what they mean by it. They mean by not have a chance of getting a sexually transmitted disease or getting pregnant. That's what they mean by safe sex. But if you take it to mean just the words, there is no safe sex, right? There is no such thing as casual sex. You're joining yourself emotionally, spiritually, intimately with another person. It's a two becoming one flesh that's then being ripped apart. Consent is not love. Because all the world wants from you is consent. Just make sure the other person says yes. Anything else goes. Paul is talking about something completely different than consent here. He's talking about love. Consent is selfish. It's just like, as long as they say, yeah, go ahead, I can use that person for my own pleasure. That's what consent is. Love is willing the good of another person. It's not about yourself. Love is about looking at the person and saying, no, I want what's best for you. So this is the view of biblical sex, that it's so good, it's so beautiful, it's so powerful, that yes, it can be volatile and dangerous. And that's why we should take good and wonderful care of it. And then this is why it's so important. He says, every other sin a person commits is outside the body, but the sexually immoral person sins against their own body. This is one of the things about pornography, that the lies they'll say is, oh, it doesn't hurt anybody. It's not hurting anybody. Or even like cartoons, it's like, oh yeah, they're not hurting anybody. They're hurting you. You're actually sinning against your own body. Even in a sexual relationship, you say, well, there's consent, it's not hurting anybody. No, you're hurting yourself. This woman was caught in adultery. She was caught in sexual sin. And she was dragged before Jesus and before every other person. And everybody around her was judging her, condemning her, wanting to kill her. The punishment for adultery. And Jesus looked at this woman and said, neither do I condemn you. Go and sin no more. So notice, he says, I don't condemn you. I love you. You're not ugly. You're not dirty. You're not wasted. You're not broken, too broken for me. He says, no, I love you. But he says, go and sin no more. Go and don't do the things that are unhelpful for your flourishing, that are going to bring you down, that are going to cause you brokenness. And this is Jesus' message to us. He says, I love you, I care for you, I welcome you in with open arms. I don't judge you, I don't condemn you. In fact, Paul says there is no condemnation anymore in Jesus Christ. That if we come to Jesus, there is no condemnation, there is no judgment, there is no guilt or shame. He says, I love you. And then God says, but I don't want to see you broken and hurt again. I don't want to see you continue to hurt yourself. This is the message of the gospel, that we are all broken, that we need Jesus, and that he comes to us and offers us hope.